Hello and welcome to Craft with Sarah and day 18 of the Halloween Craft Countdown, where I'm sharing 20 brand new Halloween themed craft projects with you over 20 days. Today we're going back to 3D projects and we've got a beautiful spell book. We've got a lovely cover. I've used some gold card to really make that shine. It's got a lovely back to it, but this is hiding a secret because it's not just a decorative piece. Oh no, this is a box. So you can open it up, take off the belt, and it opens up and you've got a lovely space in there to put treats, candy, chocolate, notes, printables, whatever you want to put in there. They're really nice and sturdy. So you can put quite a bit in there and it will still be okay. And then close it up, do the belt up, and it's all nice and secure. You can do it in the same colours as me, or you can play about with different colours for a different vibe. Here's another one I made, this time with a green colour scheme and black behind all of the letters instead of gold. You can see by having them side by side how different an effect you get when you mix up the colours. So whether you're making them as decor or you're actually going to use them as a box for some goodies, let's get the files and get started with this lovely 3D craft project. The files for this project are free for the next 24 hours. Here's how to download them. Register a free ticket for the Halloween Craft Countdown at craftwithsarah.com/HCC25. After registering, you'll get an email which contains a link to the schedule page for the countdown. Visit the schedule page to find and download today's files. Each download is only available for free for 24 hours after it goes live. If you've missed some, check out the Instant Access bundle at craftwithsarah.com/HCC25 bundle, which gives immediate and ongoing access to all of the files from the Halloween Craft Countdown, plus loads of extra bonus designs. Or purchase just this design at craftwithsarah.com/products. To find the designs from this countdown, click into the Occasions filter and choose Halloween. The designs will appear here each day once they become available to buy. The download comes in a zip folder. You need to unzip this before uploading the SVG files into Cricut Design Space. Before we get going on making this project, I wanted to bring your attention to a couple of things that will help when choosing your cardstock and also a way in which you can make it a little bit quicker to make. So what I've done on the design, it's going to be so hard to show you on camera, but hopefully you can see. There are lots of score lines down the sides of the book to make it look like there's lots of pages in here. I think you can just about see on the camera all those lines going down. As these are purely for decoration, I'll show you how you can remove those if you don't want to add them in. That'll make the project quicker to cut because it won't have to do all of that scoring. There are some lines which will need to be scored. These are the ones that will help you put the box together and make it all lovely in 3D. But again, in this video, I'll show you which score lines are necessary and which ones are optional. If you are going to be using the optional score lines on the side of your book, then make sure you cut it from smooth cardstock, not textured cardstock. I made that mistake the first time I cut this out. So this piece is textured, it's linen. It's got all of those score lines down it, but you cannot see them at all. They blend in entirely with the linen effect and you just can't see them. The same on this piece. This has got all the score lines down all here and all here, and looking at it, you can't see them. Just about in a certain kind of light they kind of show up, but it just doesn't really work on that linen effect. So if you are going to be using linen effect card, then I recommend taking out the score lines. There's no point in doing them because you just can't see them. If you do want the score lines to show up so you get that effect of all the pages, use smooth cardstock. Once you've downloaded and unzipped a folder, it's time to get the SVG file into Cricut Design Space. Open up Design Space and start a new project, then go to Upload over on the left and then Upload Image. You can then either click Browse to find a file on your computer or drag and drop it in. Within here, you've got cutting machine versions and hand cutting version. We need cutting machine versions, and within there, select the file that starts SVG in the file name. It looks like this. Press Continue and then Upload. Don't worry about all these weird green splodges. That's going to be our score lines. For some reason, Design Space doesn't like showing them on this upload screen, but it will look just fine once it's on your project. Press Upload, and here we go. You can close out the window on the left by clicking the arrow about halfway down the page. There's a green box here that tells you the size the design should be. It's 22 inches wide and 21 inches tall. Look at your width and height boxes and check that it matches. If not, resize it to fit. Then, as it says, we need to delete the box. Click the design and press the Ungroup button at the top of the Layers panel to separate everything out, and then click into the top layer here, which is the green rectangle, and press the trash can to remove it. You don't want to end up accidentally cutting out that little information box. Now we need to go through and format all of the score lines. As I showed you a little earlier, some of these score lines are essential to show us where to fold the design, and some of them are decorative to give the illusion of pages on the sides of the box. Let's start by clicking the first in the Layers panel, and that will select this little clasp section on top of the book. I'll move it over so you can see. The score lines in this one are essential. They make it so that we can fold a little bridge into the clasp so that the buckle bit can slide underneath. So for this one, click the arrow to open it up. Click on that top layer, which is the 4 horizontal lines. Under Operation, change it to Score. Then click to select that whole mini group and press the Attach button at the bottom of the Layers panel. Attach is what tells the Cricut we want it to do the scoring on that particular piece. Then we'll move on to the next one. This is the bit that goes around the edge of the book to look like the binding. Open up the line in here, and then it doesn't really look like score lines because it's black on black, but those are all there. I'm just going to change the colour of this to a lighter grey so you can see. The score lines on this one are mostly decorative. They do help a little bit with bending it around the spine of the box. However, you can absolutely do it without those. So if you don't want these score lines, you can click on them in the Layers panel and either hide them or click the trash can icon. I'm going to keep them though. I really like how they look. So I will change them to Score and then click to select that mini group and Attach. And then the next one is, you can't see it, but it's underneath here. So this score line is an important one. This is how we'll open up the front of the box. If I move that out the way, you can see it's running down here. So this one you do need. Change it to Score, click and Attach. Put that back out the way over there. Then the next one we've got over here, this is the back of the book and where we've got the start of the buckle coming out. Now this is a useful score line because it helps you fold it neatly, but you don't necessarily need it because you could just work out that you're folding it where it starts coming out from the base. But I like it, it makes it easier, so I'll add that in and Attach. Next up, we've got the sides of the book here, and this time when you open it out there are 2 sets of score lines. The one that sits in the middle, the one that looks a little bit simpler when you look at it in the Layers panel, this is the essential score lines. If I hide that top one, you see these are the ones that are folding to make the box. So you definitely need that one. The one above it is adding the page effect, so that is a decorative one. You can leave that one off if you want to. If you do want to keep it though, make sure you change it to Score, click the group and Attach. And it's similar for the last one. There are 2 sets of scores in here. There's the essential one at the bottom, which is these 2 vertical lines. Change that to Score. And then there's the decorative one to make the pages of the book, which is up to you if you do that one or not. And there we go, that's all the bits done. This is now ready for me to cut. Click on make. I'm not going to worry about saving it, and that will separate out all the pieces. If you make it at the size it loads in at, you do need 12 by 12 inch cardstock to cut this piece. It won't let you do it on A4 or US letter. If you did want to make it so that you could cut it on A4 or US letter, you could make the whole thing smaller. Press select all and change it down. How big is it at the minute? Just this piece. So if you're doing it from A4, you would need it 7.75 inches for this piece on the width. So let's select everything. Make sure you do select everything so that when you resize, you do it all and everything changes in proportion. That would now work out. It could even have been a little bit bigger than that. I'm not quite sure what the maximum size is for US letter paper. I don't use that because you can't really get it very easily here in the UK, which is why I use A4. And then your final book, if you did it this size, it's still going to be, let's do this one, around 5.5 by 7 and between 7.25 and 7.5. So that's still a really good size. It hasn't changed too much. But I'm going to do mine at the original, so I'll put that back. There we go. Go back to the make screen. For the other pages, they will all cut on smaller paper, so you can change them to whatever you want. And then when you're happy with how everything's looking, press continue to connect to your Cricut, get everything cut out, and then we'll see how to put together our potion book boxes. Here are all of my pieces cut out and ready to glue together. The glue I'm using is Barely Art Glue, but I also like Kalal. The reason I like these two glues is they don't bend or warp the card like some glues can do. Before we start, I was having some slight issues with my scoring, and for some reason on this piece here and also this piece, it hasn't done the scoring in the quite right place. I don't know if I'll be able to show you, but all of the score lines to make up the pages, so these are the decorative lines, should be perfectly evenly spaced from each other. And if you look on the screen in Design Space, they are all evenly spaced. But for some reason, some of the lines have got thick gaps between them, some of them have got thin gaps. And I don't know if it's just my Cricut playing up, because the file looks absolutely perfect. There's nothing that I can see that would cause that. And other pieces like this one down here, that's all fine. They've all cut out exactly as they're supposed to. I don't think you can see, but on this one the lines are all exact. So I haven't changed anything because I think it might have been maybe my card was moving about on the mat a little bit, or my Cricut was just having a bad day. But even if yours does it too, it's not going to impact the final look on the book. It will still look fine, just with all of those lines, however they have scored. All right, we'll start with the pages. And I find having a ruler for this is quite helpful, especially if you have added the score lines for all the pages, because when you try and fold it along the required score lines, it will sometimes try and fold itself against the pages instead of the line that you actually are trying to fold. So a ruler can help because then we can force it to go along the right place. So I've got my score lines facing upwards. Going to put my ruler along the very last score line here that joins these 2 points together. Line it up along the score and then fold upwards, putting my fingers right down at the very bottom so that it doesn't fold on any of the page scores. It folds on the required score line. Like that. I'm not going to fold it all the way over because I actually want the fold to go the other direction. But it's easier to get them started like this so that we're using that score line as our guide. And the same along this side. Get that very last score line going. There we go. And then turn it over and fold it over along that score. that one, and then that one. And then if you've got a brayer tool or a scraper tool, go down to get your folds really crisp. And then we also need to fold up our tabs, folding them inwards. That's how the box will go together. There's one on that side and one on that side. There we go. And then we need to add the other side to the book, which is this one. So once again, use the ruler, and then we've got the score lines that go down where the edges of these triangle bits meet. Got my score lines facing upwards to start, just so that I can line up. And again, start the fold on each side, but then I'll turn it round and make it face the other way. That's it started. Turn it round. Now it's easier to get it in exactly the right place. Give it a brayer. And that one. There we go. Then we want to position this so that all of our scores are on the outside bits, including this one. So my score lines are touching my work surface. And then you've got the oval bit, the semicircle on the right hand side to match how it looks at the top. And we'll stick that tab down onto the bottom here. Line it up so the score line on the piece you're sticking on goes along the bottom of the bit of card. And get that stuck. While that's sticking, I've realised I've forgotten to do the scoring this side. So again, it's the line where it joins the two kind of points. Do that. Starting it off that side so I can see what I'm doing, and then tuck it round to the side we want it to go, and brayer. Okay. Next up, we can build up the sides. Tuck in the two little tabs, fold the side up, and then these bits will go over and glue onto the tabs like that to make the sides. You might have to hold this in place until it dries. Make sure it's nice and straight. You've got a good perpendicular corner going on there. And the same for the other side. Glue down that little tab. Lift up the side. Glue it nice and straight. Hold down if you need to. You could also add a paper clip over there to hold it in place until the glue dries. Or I picked up this tip from Lucy at Paper Glitter Glue in her Halloween event earlier in the year. You can get some masking tape or painter's tape and take a little bit of this. Now, this is very low tack, so it shouldn't damage the card at all when you go to take it off. But you can use this to hold pieces in place while the glue is drying. This was a great tip. I was so happy when I saw it on Lucy's video. There we go. And oh, how have I managed to forget so many score lines? I also haven't done that one, and that's going to be hard to do now that I've folded the sides up. Oh no. There's always one project in the countdown where I make a ton of mistakes. I thought we'd managed to get away with it because we're so far in and I hadn't done it yet. I was just waiting for today. I'll make sure I add all the bits into the written tutorial. There we go. Okay. That'll do. Next up, take the rectangle of white, and this will be glued to the top tab. So fold them so they're nice and flat like this. We've got 3. There won't be anything glued down this side. So we'll be gluing it on the top like this, and then as you're gluing it, push those sides in so that they line up perfectly against this rectangle. Adding glue to the top of these 3 tabs. Like that. And I'll start on the longest side. Oops, line that up. And then you see it's not quite lined up here, so I need to push my side in until it's perfectly aligned with the rectangle. And the same on this side. Push that side up so it's beautifully neat. And you can put your fingers through the hole in the front to push those tabs on really securely. Get the glue stuck all the way along. And that's the starting to look like a book. Next up, we'll stick the bottom, which is this piece. You've got your tab on the right hand side. Fold up along that. And this will glue to the bottom like this, and it's going to be hard to show, but the purple is slightly bigger than the white. So what we're aiming for is the edge of the white on the left, where we've got the semicircles, to be up against the edge of the purple. That will line up, and then there'll be a slight overlap on the right hand side, and also there's a slight overlap at the top and the bottom. I'll just show you my completed one as an example. So the green is slightly bigger, you can see it here, than the inside. So it really looks like a hard covered book. You've got those little bits of the cover poking out the top. And that's what we're aiming for here. Turn your book upside down. Add some glue to the back. And then, so it will line up down here. And then I need to make sure there's an even amount of the purple on the top and the bottom. It's probably easiest to position it this way. Just checking that's a little bit closer to the bottom than the top. Push it up. There we go. So you can see I got my overlap on all sides, and then it lines up with the white along there. And at this point I'm going to take my tape off the sides. There we go, so that's come off beautifully. And now we can start working on the front. I've done mine in gold, super shiny. We've got the fold line down here. Put your ruler up against it and fold upwards towards you. Turn it over and go the other way. And then back that way. We want it to be a really well folded fold, if that makes sense, because this is going to be how your book opens, like this. This is going to glue onto the front, but before we do that, let's add a cover. The cover glues up against the right hand side and it will touch up against that score line, like that. So we've still got that tab all on its own. And try and get my glue in all these little bits in the letters so that they're stuck on securely. I don't want them to get caught on anything as the box is being opened and closed and tear off or anything like that. Drop down. Don't push too firmly, you don't want the glue to smush out, especially around all those letters. Dabbing ever so gently so that it gets stuck without my glue smushing everywhere. And then before I do the next step, I'm going to give this 5 minutes to dry. The glue is now dry, so this can be added to the front of the book. I'm going to glue down the tab and then stick it along here so it will line up like this. And once again, this has got a slight overlap on the book so it looks like a realistic cover. So don't worry that it goes over on the top and the bottom. It's supposed to do that. If I turn it around, you can see it's overlapping here. My gold card is white on the back, which is why it's showing as white. Probably be easier if I showed it on this one. So you can see I've got my black here on this one because my text is in black coming out over the sides. So we're going to glue the tab, but not the very top and bottom bits, otherwise you'll be able to see the glue on the overlap. So I'm going to go down about 1 centimetre into it and not put any closer to those edges. This is the hinge that will be opening and closing the front of the book, so add quite a bit of glue. We need to make sure it's stuck on there very securely. And then we'll put it on. Remember to try and get an even amount of overlap on the top and the bottom. The right hand side will do automatically because we'll be lining it up exactly down this left hand side. Fabulous, we are getting there. Next up is what I find the hardest, maybe the second hardest out of everything for this project, and that is getting the spine to go around the side. And the reason it's a little bit tricky is we need to try and get the card to go into this semicircle shape. Now, I made a mistake when I was putting this one together, and I folded my score lines on either side, the very edge ones, and it looks not as great as it could because you can see that score really obviously rather than it being a smooth semicircle, which was more kind of the idea in the design. So I was a bit too score happy with this one. I'm not going to score my one for this one, and then we can compare them at the end. We'll be folding it round like this, sort of like half a toilet roll tube. And I'm just kind of training it to get in the right place by holding it in a semicircle. And I'm not bending it, I'm not folding it, not adding any creases in, but just gently trying to get the card to realise that we want it to be in this shape. And then it will glue onto the tab on the front. And then when we fold it round, it will also glue onto the matching bit on the back. And this is where you find out if your top and bottom bits are matching. Mine pretty much are. So this is what we're aiming for. Like this. I'm going to let's do the front first because I want that to be the neatest. Add the glue down. Don't touch that score line where you've got the edge of the cover. I've just realised this is going to be extra hard to glue because I've used mirror card and mirror card hates glue. Alright. Glue that one on. Got the tiniest gap so that the score line will still fold. And then we'll wait for this to dry properly. Add my tape. Gently push it down. Don't force your tape down, otherwise it'll be harder to get off. And again, I'm going to wait a couple of minutes. Let that glue really dry, especially because I've used mirror cards, so it'll take even longer to dry before I try and turn it round onto the back. The glue here is now dry. I'll leave my tape on for a little bit and then turn it round, and then it will glue on to the back of this one too. Let's help if I take the needle out of my glue. We're going about 1 centimetre in. Okay, slightly more because I have not done that in any kind of straight line. There we go. And then gently bend it round so it should be kind of sitting on top of these circles on the side. And then the tab goes up to the side. This one's a little bit tricky to hold in place. I should have got my tape ready before doing it, because if I let go, it's, yeah, just going to come off. You can see there it hadn't even touched that glue. Okay, grab some tape. Okay, do that again. Fold it round. My tape on. Don't push it down hard. You don't want it to damage the card, but a gentle little bit shouldn't do anything. And you can push down to get it stuck. And also, you can now open it out and you can sort of see inside where you've got the edge of the white down here. That's where your join is. So you can run your finger down it now to get that glue really well stuck. Oh, that looks much better than it did on my demo one where I folded along those score lines. That's so much nicer. That's amazing how just one little wrong move can change it so dramatically. If I do it this way, it's still drying, so this probably isn't very smart. But this one I've just done has that beautiful smooth curve, and this one where I folded those lines kind of goes outwards and it's angular and it doesn't match the shape as well. So yes, this version definitely better. Okay, my front's definitely dry. Take the tape off of here. Oh no, that's marked just the tiniest bit. It's probably because it's black card. Black card seems to do worse with tape than others. Oh dear. After I just said it doesn't going to mark it, look what it's done. I am thinking that's probably just because of my particular black card though. It's not very good quality card. Okay. Do the same here. Doesn't matter too much on the back. If I peel it really slowly, hopefully that'll make it better. I'm going so slow, very gentle on the pull, and now it's not marking it. A little bit there. It's quite therapeutic, I'm quite enjoying it. There, typical. I got it off much neater on the back that you don't see than the front that you do see. But it's still not very noticeable. Okay, now we've just got the buckle to go. Start by turning this over, and then this piece will glue on top. Or you can do it this way and glue it like that. It doesn't really matter, but if you do it that way, you'll see the join from the front, whereas if you glue it this way, you won't. And then while that's drying, this is the other bit that may be the hardest. So it's either going to be this that was the hardest, getting it to curve, or this. We've got score lines on here, and we're going to make a little bridge. I'll show you this one that I made earlier. When you tilt it round, there's a little bridge here in the middle so that the buckle can slide in. And that's done with these score lines. And you sort of, I don't know how I'm going to explain it. I think I did it more by luck than judgment. So I'm going to fold the score lines on one side, and then you sort of push them upwards and together so one goes over the other. So I've got my one on the right the one on the left I'm going to push over. This card is so thick, I'm not sure it's actually going to do it. Let's get it folded first. Right, there we go. So it's going to push back on itself like a little concertina. Fold it inwards. And now we've got the start of that bridge. So if I put it tight, that's the whole fold, but then the middle bit's gone inwards to make that very small bridge. I'll do the same on the other one. So first let's fold down the score lines to get them started. And then push the middle bit over onto the side to make the bridge. It would help without card that is this thick. Okay, nearly got it, nearly got it. Try not to mark it with my fingernails. Okay, there we go. So now we've got that very slight bridge effect. That's all you need. Right. So we'll be gluing this on. Don't put any on the middle bridge bit, just the top and the bottom tabs. And before you put it down, fold this round to where it's going to go to make sure we're putting this in exactly the right place. And the bridge will go over and hold that in place. There we are. And then you'll be able to untuck it and tuck it back in, and it should hold itself closed. Depending on the thickness of card you've used for the buckle, you may find that it doesn't quite hold itself closed and it comes out again quite easily. This purple card is thick, so that's going to stay in there beautifully. The green one I did, the card is much thinner, so it wasn't holding itself in here. And I tried folding it, as you can see. That didn't really help either. So what I did was I put a little bit of masking tape on the end so it's sticky, and then you can just push down on that masking tape and it seals it in place. You could also use a foam square, but that might damage the card when you move it, or those little clear plasticky sticky dots, pop dots I think they're called. You can get removable ones of those, that would work, or you could put a little bit of Velcro on both sides of the book, but again you would notice that unless you were a little bit sneaky and maybe put it just one side so that when it's closed it's all hidden. But there are lots of different options you could go with to make it closed if it isn't staying closed all by itself. But there we go, we're done. Our Spells and Potions book box, all finished. I love the colours on this. I love how it turned out, and it's so easy to open up and close. You may find that you need to just open and close it a few times to get that line, that crease line going. This one's working fine. When I did this one, it was a little bit harder to open to start with, but you can always just bend it backwards on itself until it opens like it's meant to. And now it's all ready to fill with some goodies. I hope that you enjoyed this video on how to make this lovely spellbook treat box. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel for loads more Cricut crafts and free SVGs. I hope to see you again tomorrow for day 19 of the Halloween craft countdown, but for now, thank you so much for watching. Bye!